This program is a production of YCN, Community Television for New Hampshire, in association with Continental Cablevision of New England.
Hello, I'm Brooke Eubank. This special program is about New Hampshire's young inventors. We're here at Merrimack Valley High School, and we're going to be looking at inventions, inventors, and inventing in New Hampshire. Stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.
There's a new cat in town. It's sleek, it's beautiful, it's gray, and it'll take you almost anywhere you want to go. The cat is coming to Concord. It's cheap, it's easy, and it'll make your traffic and parking headaches disappear. Watch for the cat.
The cat is here now at a bus stop near you.
Assure yourself of a great yard and beautiful flowers by visiting Brochu & Son Nursery and Landscaping. You'll find a wide variety of New Hampshire-grown trees, shrubs, and perennials. With over 40 acres of nurseries, Brochu & Son is serving New Hampshire from 3 locations. Brochu & Son Nursery and Landscaping on Commercial Street in Concord, Brochu & Son Salisbury Nursery off Route 4, and Tall Pines Garden Center and Holiday Shop on Loudon Road. Brochu & Son Nursery and Landscaping, for all your landscaping needs.
You value good service, we value your business.
Wayne Bunton puts those words into action at the sign of the Treadbear, where he offers you while you wait service with Gillette tires, sales and overnight repairs for Skidoo, and in-house sharpening, parts, and maintenance on Husqvarna chainsaws. United Tire, Bunton Saw Shop, and Skidoo are all full-service dealers and are all under one roof. 234 Lawton Road, so stop in and see Wayne at the sign of the Treadbear, because
You value good service, we value your business.
Oh, you sick of your furniture? We're slashing prices, we're bashing prices, and we're chopping prices!
Sick of the hype and crazy gimmicks? At Cheney's Furniture, South Main Street in Pennacook, you'll find 2 floors of reasonably priced quality furniture to choose from. And they'll let you browse with no pressure as long as you like, so you'll be comfortable with your choices for years to come. Cheney's Furniture, 100 South Main Street, Pennacook.
This special program is brought to you by Creative Video Incorporated of New Hampshire, an award-winning television production company and programming service with the Granite State. If you're in need of video production for business promotions, commercials, or corporate communication, call one of New Hampshire's most experienced facilities, Creative Video Incorporated.
There are certain things in America that are wonderful. Apple pie, motherhood, the flag, God, and invention.
Fifth grade. So you'll be upstairs. Right here. You're going to be in room 206. Here's a program and a badge.
Thank you.
And an evaluation form.
Well, first of all, you know that every student who came here today was a winner at a local school celebration or invention convention or imagination celebration, whatever the local school chose to call it. So that the students, when they came here today, were registered. And they came here knowing that this would be a half-day event that would give them an opportunity to show their inventions once again, but they would be judged on a statewide level.
Your scoring system is put over here so that you can score them, each child, for originality, usefulness, their motto and illustration, and their written description, and then ending up with a total. So after you've gone through all of these, you should have a pretty good idea about who you would like to have, if you turn to the back, for your grade level winner. Who is the one who comes out tops overall on your scoring, that would be your grade level winner.
But your mother needs one. Okay. Teresa. She's got it right on the back of that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Teresa, here's an evaluation form for you, and one for your mother. Here's a program. You're in 3rd grade, so you'll be upstairs in the study hall. Okay? And here's a badge
I
for
might
you.
want to ask some questions that might be boring or uninteresting to others of you, and it might be on a one-to-one. I could elicit some responses that might not be given when there's an overwhelming group. So I see advantages to doing some things together and some things individually.
I kind of thought we might split up and have 2 of us doing, say, 12, 9, and going into 8, and the other 2 starting from 7, coming into 8.
You work from opposite ends.
Do we have overlapping?
Yeah, so that we all wouldn't be in the same
That's a
area
good
at the
thought.
same time.
Invention involves some very important skills. For example, observing, just looking around your environment or looking at the things that you do on a day-to-day basis and thinking, is there everything here that I need to do it as well as I can do it? And so we encourage the teachers to help youngsters be observers of their environment, take walks, look at their homes, talk to their relatives, and so on about all the things that they use on a day-to-day basis. And then the teacher looks at the whole area of problem solving and saying, now, if your environment isn't going that well, what are some things that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis that really give you problems? You know, and kids' answers may be, well, my room's always a mess and my mother wants it to be clean, or I have a problem with walking. I like to go out in the rain and I don't have anything that's comfortable for me to wear, or I'm aware of the fact that some people have to go to a mailbox to get their mail, and in the wintertime there's so much snow they can't do it. So the kids start to do what we call brainstorming, and they come up with all kinds of problems that they may see on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, the teacher's the teacher then tries to extend that process into, well, you know, just think about what could there be that would help me solve that problem.
Inventors is for my teacher because she's always losing stuff. And you can write on the board. And you can erase it. And then you can pop the chalk out, wet it, bring it, and wash it. Wow. Anti-bubbleometer.
Anti-bubbleometer. And what does it do?
It takes the fizz out of soda.
Oh, show us how it works.
Well, you see, you pour the soda into here, and when it goes down into this tube, it kind of shakes it up, and it lets all the bubbles escape out into the air in the tube. Then when it gets in here, it kind of spins around, and it thins the soda out so that the bubbles can escape into the air. They have to, and so this shakes up again, and then it goes into your cup, and this is the results. Well, my dog was always eating my cat's food, and my dog is too big to fit in this little hole, and he put the food way back in the back, and my cat can just go in and he can get it, and now my cat is bigger than before, and my dog is a little bit slimmer.
So you've seen results from this?
Yes. This would usually be made out of rubber. You would put the water in here and then squeeze this. It would come up through here, come down into the bottle. There's holes in here, see, and then it comes down onto the dishes, and all you have to do is dry them off, and because they're usually most of them are all washed. Maybe some parts of them aren't washed yet, so you just have to take them out and do them by hand. It keeps your hand from slipping off the toothbrush, because when you're brushing your teeth, it usually slips out of your hands.
How does it do that?
Well, these little bumps on here, they're made out of epoxy glue, and makes it so it can't, like, look.
This is my brother's invention, and I'm going to explain it for him because he can't be here today. So his invention is little lights, and his problem was he used to get up in the middle of the night and he couldn't see to go to the bathroom, and he had to turn on all the lights, and by the time he did that, his eyes would be so strained that he couldn't get back to bed. So he invented these glasses that you can wear, and they just not too bright that you'd get adjusted to the light, but still so you can see, and then you can get back to bed and get back to sleep with no problem.
Well, my invention is the cat trap. You see, my cat always got my rabbit's fur. Now every time he goes for it, he gets a whapping for it. And it can also be rearranged with anything.
So there's not a live rabbit, but it's just your rabbit's fur that you have, and he goes after it. Have you tried it?
Oh, yeah, it works.
And what does your cat think about it?
No, she doesn't like it. At first, she kept trying it just to see if she could get it. She didn't get it.
What was the criteria that you used to judge the inventions?
Well, there were several criteria, bearing in mind, of course, that we are judging apples and oranges and grapefruits. I think I personally looked for originality, creativity, not necessarily something that's brand new to the world, but something that was obviously new to this youngster. I looked for his or her own personal work. It's nice to get help from a teacher, nice to get help from mom and dad, but we're looking at content that the child, the young man or the young woman has indeed done on their own. And, of course, the utility of the idea, how well they have expressed it, how well they stand up to oral cross-examination, if you will, how deeply they really thought about it. And those are the things I think that underlie our attempt to say, well, this is the best one of this type, and this is the best one of that type.
When we apply force, this is a generator that generates electricity. But if you can imagine maybe billions of these underneath the roadbed to scale that's big.
What happens when the car comes over now?
It would make electricity. Whereas if we use piezoelectric cells, that they make electricity when you apply force to them. Where these piezoelectric crystals would probably be pretty good for schools under the floor panels to conduct electricity going through an integrated circuit
why would
system.
you want to use a piezoelectric crystal?
Well, they're more compact, whereas you have generators like this, they're pretty bulky.
So the idea is people walking or automobiles running over this, these devices would be compressed.
Yep.
And in this case to generate electricity directly, and here to take the electric currents off the piezoelectric crystal.
Yep.
Then what do you do with the current?
You store it in energy storage. And,
have you shown that here at all?
Yep, that's boy, I put so much stuff in.
I know, you've got a complete
energy
system
storage right here. Where
have you shown a piezoelectric crystal or a generator that's going to be acted on by people or cars in your system here at all?
Well, we have the support beams,
right?
Support columns, but the integrated system, instead of having a long stretch where you lose electricity and current going through transportation, whereas if you have a turnpike of cars turning this way and that way, making 90-degree angles, it'd keep everything in a closed circuit.
Now, why would you want this on the freeway? Why would you want these whole parameters? What do you need electricity for here?
Well, to bring that electricity to the storage is an alternate energy supply for on days where we don't have the sun. See, well, here we have the solar panels. It's all around the plant itself, but then on top we have this bigger piece.
Have you done any calculations of how much energy can be developed for storage by how many units?
Well, it depends how much traffic we have times how fast and how much sun. It's on a sliding scale.
So when there are no cars, you can't rely on that, right?
Yeah.
Then what do you rely on?
The sun.
And if there's no sun?
No sun, well then you have stored methane gas.
How'd you get this idea?
When you roll up this way, the sides become cracked.
Yeah.
When you roll it up,
but this
so
one,
the
but this
toothpaste
one
will come
doesn't
out.
do that, does
No.
it? So that's an advantage of this design.
Yeah.
So you've really studied this, haven't you?
Kind of.
Very interesting. So what do you think something like that would sell for in the store if it was to be mass produced? Do you have an idea?
Mass produced maybe between $5 and $10.
Would it be made out of wood if it was mass produced?
Probably they would make it out of plastic. Molded plastic. So that would be, when you mass produce it, that would be easier. To make it.
What would these metal parts be made out of, do you know?
Probably be metal.
Metal?
Yeah, and these would be like springs to hold it together. Like a plastic casing around it.
I see. So there'd be no sharp edges?
No.
Water doesn't go through. You can get a screen to float on water and stuff because the water won't go through those tiny
they
holes.
couldn't be really, really small, but they wouldn't have to be like big, huge holes.
How about if you ate, all these fancy ice creams now, chocolate chips and
The chocolate chips would just kind of be in here then probably.
Probably.
Well, then they would probably melt eventually, and they would get in the bottom. I'm just trying to stop all the sticky ice cream.
I'm going over the
Basically, my purpose here.
Okay. That sounds pretty good. Is there anything you'd like to add, do you think, now that you've thought about it a little bit?
Well, I can think that if I ever get this on the market, I'm going to buy a lot of it because I hate it. I get it all over my fingers. It's wicked hard to wash off.
So plastic has the advantage of not rotting.
Yes.
And it would be heavier or lighter than wood?
It'd be lighter.
Lighter? But do you think it would work as well?
Probably, yeah.
Do you think to make one out of wood would be more expensive or less expensive than plastic?
More expensive.
So it might lower the cost. Now, if you lower the cost, do you think that would make more people buy it or less people buy it?
More people buy it.
So it's to keep them walking and stop sniffing all the telephone poles and on your way. Makes them go a little faster. Now, it says you've tried this with your dog.
It works.
It works pretty well. What kind of dog do you have?
A basset hound.
A basset hound. Oh, he is the slow one, isn't he?
Yeah. I was expecting this to come in like small, medium, and large. So like for a little dog.
No, it's a different. Okay. And this holds under the. He didn't mind having that hat on his head? He didn't shake his head all the time.
No.
No, he didn't.
My dog bounces a lot though. So.
Yeah, bassets, they probably need the exercise too.
Yeah.
I think probably in terms of a personality profile, obviously the students are risk takers. They're willing to use their imaginations and their creativity to present something of their own in competition, and that takes a risk. So they have to feel pretty good about themselves to do that. They do see the world in different ways. Many of the children, as they describe their inventions, were looking at ways that their world could be improved. In some cases for themselves. The little boy that I mentioned earlier, whose mother was always after him to clean up his room, invented this wonderful system of pulleys that was attached to a huge blanket. And so that when his mother told him at the end of the day to clean up your room, he threw everything into the blanket and just pulled up the blanket in a big bag and attached it to the room, and of course attached it to the wall so his room was clean. One of the things I have noticed more recently is the number of children who have been looking at the world from others' eyes. For example, the number of inventions that show a concern for the elderly, the mailbox in the snow, where it might be a problem for an older person to get to that mailbox. We had a number of inventions in local celebrations that I judged that reflected a concern on behalf of young children for people with different disabilities, people who had to use crutches or walkers, people who might be blind. And I am very inspired myself by this because I think they're developing a sense of caring for others, a sense of social conscience.
A young lady in the 7th grade had a grandmother with arthritis, and she just couldn't grip bar of soap. So this young lady sculpted the soap into finger grips on one side and a thumb grip on the other. And she's made them for her grandfather, and she thinks soap companies ought to do something like this. So she's going out and tell them about it.
I get a couple companies' addresses, like Ivory or something.
Are you looking for them? Good. Keep at it now, you know? It won't hurt you. Write a letter. Take a Polaroid picture or something of it and send it to them. Tell them all about the...
We sent a picture to Washington already.
Yeah, where in Washington?
Washington, D.C.
Oh, to the Invent America?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, keep at it.
Thanks.
And make some for Grandma. Okay? Thank you very much.
Dear Edna, thank you for thinking of me. What a thrill it was to receive your gift basket full of bath crystals and soaps. Such a welcome change from all those flowers.
Dear Christine, thank you so much for thinking of our new family. The gift basket arrived just as we were home from the hospital. Alexa loved her stuffed rattle, and Frank...
Dear Sue, thanks for thinking of me. Who but you would send 40 pieces of gourmet candies on my 40th birthday?
Who are you thinking of? Thinking of you. Gift baskets for any occasion.
Does it sometimes seem as though it takes ages to produce your printed materials? It doesn't have to be that way. Klein Design works with you to produce high-quality printed materials when you need them at a reasonable cost. High production values and fast turnaround are Klein Design's trademarks. When you have a project in mind, call Klein Design. Free consultation, free pickup and delivery. Klein Design, graphic services for today.
Thinking about a college loan? Then you should get to know the New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation, a nonprofit agency in Concord dedicated to helping students and families take advantage of educational opportunities by providing sources of low-cost financial assistance. The New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation is the officially designated state administrator for the federally subsidized Stafford Loan, formerly the Guaranteed Student Loan Program. They also offer the Parent Loans for Students program, the Supplemental Loans for Students program, and their own independent funding option called Alternative Loans for Parents and Students, better known as ALPS. With college costs rising and with financial aid getting tighter, paying for college is an ever-increasing burden. The New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation strives to make sure those who seek the rewards of learning are able to affordably obtain them. To learn how the programs of the New Hampshire Higher Education Assistance Foundation can help you, just call for more information. Toll free at 1-800-235-2577.
And when I came home, my mom's back was hurting real bad because she has arthritis, and it was hurting real bad, and that gave me an idea for this invention because she had to get up and get the food, and it really hurt her back, and she couldn't hardly walk. This is like a tablecloth that goes around the thing, and it opens up.
And what does it open up to?
The cupboard would probably open up to a little thing of salt and pepper, and maybe some silverware, and some other little things like maybe a bowl of sugar and some tea bags. And the refrigerated area, which right there, would probably hold maybe a half pint of milk and a small stick of butter and some ketchup and mustard or something like that. And maybe a couple other things like maybe some apple juice.
And how did it help your mom's back?
So she wouldn't have to get up from the table to get the food in the refrigerator.
The mini money stuffer, and I did this so kids in my class won't lose their lunch money. So I made this so it can attach to things.
Show me how it works.
You can attach it on to a French bracelet or a shoelace. And you can also put on a belt or a shoe.
Have you tried it?
Yep.
How does it work?
Good. It works by a pulley system, and you put a hook out if you get any packages, and you put a mailbox out, and then you wheel it out and wait for your mail, and then when your mail comes, you wheel it back in.
So you want to market this for the lazy or the disabled?
Yeah.
The reason I put this on is because I had some straps in there to strap the motor on, and it showed up out here, so I just glued this on. And that's
emery board wrapped around the turbine up in the motor. And when you turn it on, you move your nail side to side and it fires the nails in there.
Okay.
It's basically just a mailbox with a photo relay camera. The infrared beam comes out of the top lens right here, which is called the transmitter lens, and it goes down, and inside in the door there's a reflector, and it bounces off the reflector and comes in the bottom lens, and that's one continuous circuit. But if the mailman opens the box, then he interrupts the beam. And it beeps, and the light goes on for deaf people who can't hear the siren, and it beeps for blind people who can't see the mailman going by.
Well, my cat was really old, and he used to get down from my bunk bed. He'd have to jump, and I was afraid he might hurt himself, so I invented this.
Show me how it works.
This weighs the same as my cat, and my cat was 9 pounds, and he'd get in like that, and he'd go down. And you gotta do this, because one time he got out the wrong way and it almost squished him.
He got up the wrong way and it almost squished him?
He got out of here without this hook, and this came down.
So you've tried it out and modified it.
Here are pictures.
I think it would be useful, and I think but it needs more work, which is why I wouldn't necessarily rate it as high, and I wouldn't necessarily give it the judge's choice.
Quick on Street, I had good details. The write-ups that he had were good. He utilized, in his case, he had...
Oh, there'll be a milkshake left at the end. The drippings at the bottom of the cup. He said, I never thought of that.
And I think I also like that her idea for coming up with it came from the fact that she cooks herself breakfast every morning, and that she recognized something from her own personal experience that she would have that would need a response.
It was messy as can be.
Yeah.
But but I think I would have loved to have it Easter time.
It's an original idea.
Right. Drop it in.
Song and
She did a lot of work on that. Really did. And the only part I could come about it was that you ended up being messy, but is that wrong for on an invention to be messy? The invention is to get something accomplished, and creating the colors of the ink were great. I mean, it's like an abstract.
It did work. And the fun, she had a slogan, she had a log, and she had a song.
He also spent a tremendous amount of time on that project.
It just...
Days and days for a month and a half.
The one thing I liked about that project is that you saw he did it.
Yeah.
Well, actually, he said his teacher, his shop teacher.
Only the metal screws on the side.
If we don't start now and in kindergarten to want to create the thirst in our young people to want to study mathematics, science, technology, medicine, and become educated in a society that's very different than it was 50 years ago, we're not going to have a citizenry that's going to be competent to manage itself. And that's altogether apart from the fact of attracting a large number of people to get into these areas. There are seed corn. America has been great because of its invention and entrepreneurship. And we get the lawyers and the accountants and the financiers that are destroying us with their manipulation of industry. We need the new industries to come. We need the new ideas. It's not going to come from the lawyers. It's not going to come from the accountants. It's going to come from our seed corn. And we're after that seed corn now because America can still be great and will be great.
Get it off to somebody. I'm trying to. I'd like to get a patent for it. Get it into a real business.
Thank you.
Sure.
Legislation will be with